You hear that, Paul? Do you hear it?
Is it the sound of playoffs?
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 It's the sound of awesomeness about to happen on Hashtag Sports right now. I can't wait. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining Paul and myself for the Hashtag Sports Bills versus the Steelers keys to victory on what the heck is going to happen on Sunday night. Game that was actually flexed to Sunday night. It wasn't originally on a Sunday night, but two teams, 8-5, 9-4, the Steelers and Bills respectively. They're going to be going head to head, and the playoffs are on the line, so that's a game that they want in prime time. Before we get into any of the logistics of the show, we just want to let you know, Paul called me, let me know we have 30 spots open for the giveaway. Were you clicking something there, Paul? What were you going to do?
I was pretzel. I was just being nice.
Oh, okay.
Because it's a little crunchy.
That's awesome. So we got Berg, the Evil Crazy, B Lightning, and John Calvin come in. Yeah, we're just to remind everybody we have 30 spots left. So if you want to go to our Cash App, PayPal, and or Venmo, you can do that. Like I said, a lot of spots opening up for the games. We Daniel Gowries and Jamie Osgood were the winners of a Levi Wallace mini autograph helmet and a Devin Singletary autograph mini helmet. So we still have some great Bills merch to give you guys. So that being said, let's kick it off the way we always kick it off, Paul, with the injury report. So if you'd like to take that one away, you can be my guest.
Sure. All right. So Steelers have a bunch of players up on the injury report this week, but truthfully speaking, it's a pretty light injury report. So if we take a look up and down, injury report looks like this. Juju Smith-Schuster is listed on the injury report, but he was a full participant today. He's missed the last couple games with a knee injury, but all signs point to he'll be playing. James Conner, shoulder injury. Again, all signs point to him playing. He was a full participant today. Vance McDonald, concussion, did not participate today. Jalen Samuel with a groin did not participate today. So again, it's kind of been a running back by committee in Pittsburgh the last few weeks, with James Conner being out. So Jalen Samuel not being able to contribute in the passing game could be a big blow for them. I think was it Benny Snell is their next man up. I'm not worried about Benny Snell. Outside of that, Maurice Pouncey, Alejandro Villanueva, one of Mario's favorite names in the NFL.
It is my favorite name in the NFL. What did you say it sounded like, though?
It sounds like a university, like a college.
Come get your master's at Villanueva University.
Exactly right.
Online.
That's it. It's solely online, just for liberal arts. That's it. David DeCastro and Mark Barron were all listed as non-injury related. They did not participate. Those are likely just rest days.
Yes.
So not looking great for Vance McDonald and Jalen Samuels. However, Juju Smith and James Conner are a big upgrade over what they've been dealing with the last couple weeks. So those are all good things for them. Now, unfortunately for Buffalo, not looking so awesome. Lorenzo Alexander did have a rest day along with Jerry Hughes. Ty Nsekhe still did not participate with his ankle injury. And then Corey Liuget ended up on the injury report with a knee injury as a do not participate. So again, Nsekhe being out is obviously a major concern. And Liuget being out with a knee and not participating today, not even a limited participant. Makes you a little curious what's going to happen with this matchup coming up on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the injury report, powered by Pretzels for tonight.
That's it.
Thank you, powered by Pretzels.
Powered by Clancy's.
Powered by Clancy's Pretzels. Paul, we got the injury report. Obviously, we're going to talk about Cody Ford at right tackle with Ty Nsekhe out. How's that going to play into the Buffalo Bills' plans? Obviously, they've had a couple games to go over that, what to do with Ford over there on that side. In that respect. So the thing that I'm worried about, and I know at the beginning of the season, the Pittsburgh Steelers were 0-3. Everyone in, hashtag Nation, Bills Mafia, everybody was like, oh, we got Pittsburgh at the end of the year, so we'll count that as a win. They're awful, blah, blah. Last 10 games, they're 8-2. They're a hot team right now. But the craziest part about it is when you watch them on tape and you see, like, if you're one of those stat guys, nothing pops out. Nothing pops out. You don't say, oh, we got to shut this guy down, we'll win. We got to take care of this, we'll win. We got to do this, we'll win. They just win close games. And Unfortunately for the Bills, that's been their recipe for the entire year, is win those close games. Obviously, Baltimore coming in, it wasn't really that close until the end when the Bills scored and went for that 2-point conversion. But this is a team that's pretty scary in the fact that they find a way to win. They got a veteran coach, and the thing I told you before we even came out, before we even started the stream tonight, I was going to come right after you. And here's what I was going to come after you with, because I know you love this stuff. Pittsburgh so far, the Buffalo Bills played on Thanksgiving and basically was introduced to the nation. They're like, oh, hey, look at this team, blah, blah, blah. Then they still had a 1 o'clock game against Baltimore, which probably should have been flexed. I think that game was the one that should have been flexed because everyone was going to be watching that. Nevertheless, Pittsburgh has had 2 Monday night, 1 Thursday, and this will be their 3rd Sunday night game this year.
Yeah.
How much, if any, does that play a factor in the Bills going up against the Steelers this Sunday?
I mean, I think this game gets flexed because, one, the Steelers need to win this to stay in, right? So Buffalo could clinch a playoff spot, which I think a lot of people would find a national interest story in. Like it doesn't happen that often, or at least it hasn't. So I don't know, man. This is a tough one. This is a tough sell for me. I don't get why this game was the one that was flexed.
Well, 2 teams vying for playoff spots, man.
I get it. I suppose, but I mean, it's just not as sexy as some of the other matchups. I look at it this way. The Steelers have done a great job of playing the quarterback carousel and still being able to win football games. Even with Juju being out the last couple of weeks, they still have been able to figure it out and get it done, but it's not a flashy offense. This is going to be a very slow-moving football game across the board. Who's playing quarterback for them right now? It is Devlin Hodges.
The Duck is in.
That's right. So for those of you who have had to drip down to Delvin Hodges in your fantasy football playoffs, my apologies. But this is going to be a very slow moving game, man. I don't expect a whole lot of crazy coming up with this matchup. I really don't.
All right, so we got Spin 0481 coming in. We don't turn the ball over, we win. John Calvin comes and says, I said weeks ago the Bills are an away team. Michael Doherty comes in and says, number 1 key is no turnovers. And we've had turnovers come up in the chat a couple times. To that point, it's very interesting you bring that up. In the last 10 games, because that's the thing I wanted to focus on, because it's so weird with all the statistics, changing of players, guys injured, guys coming in. Steelers are still getting it done, which makes them a very scary team to me. In the last 10 games, they've had 17 turnovers offensively.
Yeah,
which
that's a lot.
Seems like that would be great. However, their defense has caused 26 in the past 10. So you're getting the ball back almost 3 times. 3 extra possessions a game. Now with the Buffalo Bills, I think in the first 4 games of the year, the Buffalo Bills turned the ball over 10 times. Over the last 9 weeks, they've only turned it over 4. So it's not like they're putting the ball in harm's way. It seems like the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is forcing other teams, forcing their hand. And with 7 first-round draft picks on that defensive side of the ball for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I mean, you could see why they're able to cause so many turnovers and why Fitzpatrick has been like the glue of that secondary. With Hayden back there. Hayden's like 76 years old, but notwithstanding, he's still pretty good. Doesn't matter. Duck, Daniel Gowers comes in and he says Duck protects the ball well. Yeah, Duck only has 2 turnovers himself, and he's been in 5 games. But here's another key stat. I want to bring this up with the nation as well after the turnovers. In the 5 games that Duck Hodges has played, he's only been sacked 6 times.
That's great.
That is phenomenal. But you said the offensive line, you gave the injury report at the start. You said, listen, they're kind of banged up right now. What if the Buffalo Bills were to get to him early? Do you think, being a rookie, being a guy that's just in there, he's only been sacked 6 times in 5 games, do you think that could rattle his cage really early? So you think the Bills will throw more blitzes early? I'm just asking. The chat and you. I'm just curious.
Okay, so I think it's important to unpack a little bit of what he's seen in the last 5 games.
Absolutely.
Right? He's seen the Cleveland Browns twice. Okay. 1 was a loss to the Browns where they only scored 7 points. The comeback, and then the follow-up game to that was a couple weeks later. They scored 20. Okay.
Yes.
They've seen a Los Angeles Rams defense where they won 17-12.
Yes.
Okay. So not a high scoring affair.
No.
They barely beat the Bengals 16-10. And the Cardinals, they beat 23-17. So you look at the scores, the only game that has any sort of outlier is the first game against the Browns where they lost by 2 scores, right? Outside of that, all these games have been crazy close. But I'm not, outside of the Rams, I'm not seeing any really solid defenses, right? So no. We could talk about Duck protecting the ball. That doesn't mean anything to me. If you take a look at the defenses that he's played so far, coming, with Buffalo coming to town, this is a totally different animal, man. This is not the same animal at all.
Well,
that defense could eat him alive.
Paul, we went back to week 5, week 6 about the Buffalo Bills, and everyone else was saying, hey, they didn't play anybody. They haven't played any defenses yet. So it's almost like the same argument that we were defending, like, oh, you can't control who you play. Well, he can't control who he plays. So you're just talking about, though, purely the level of competition of the defense that he's seen.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So again, you take a look at the games that he's won underneath center, right? You won by 5 against the Rams. You lost by 14 against the Browns. You won by 6 against the Bengals. You won by 7 against the Browns the second time around. And then you won by 6 against the Cardinals. I'm not worried about that. I don't want to sit here and be, super fan, super pro Bills.
No.
I'm not worried about that. None of these games did they score over 23. They scored 23 points at best against Arizona.
Yeah.
You're looking at a defense that could absolutely smother him. So I'm not as concerned about that. As I'm sure some other people are. I'm not as concerned as some other people are, because when you look at 8-2 in the last 10 games, that's a scary number, especially since one of them was an overtime loss against Baltimore.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And in keeping in that theory, I think you start to unpack the real reason why the Steelers are where they are right now. 3 times in those 10 games, they've given up a total of 300 total offensive yards to their opponent. Only 3. So they're holding teams under 300 total yards for the game, and they're barely squeaking these out. The other thing is this: 7 times out of those 10 games, they've given up less than 20 first downs. So obviously, you don't move the ball, you're not going to get first downs. However, they're getting more possessions back for their team. It's not like they're giving up, because the Bills beat the Cowboys and gave up 32 first downs, but a lot of that was garbage time. You don't even see garbage time stuff against these teams because they're playing such close games.
Right. But Mar, in the last 3 games, they've ran for 159 yards against the Bengals, 124 yards against the Browns, and 140 yards against the Cardinals. Right. So they're winning games recently on the ground. The 3 games previous was 90 yards, 42 yards, and 58 yards, one of those being a loss. But the fact still remains that this is a team that is very, very predicated on the run right now. And that could be because Juju has been out the last couple games, right? So you've been working with Deontay Johnson and James Washington as your 1 and 2, right? So not exactly ideal. So they've been very run heavy. So as a fan coming into this game, the last 3 games tell me that they want to run the football. However, you get Juju back, which is one of the reasons why they probably have been running the football as much as possible. Jalen Samuels is out. James Conner is back in. So I'm looking at this as this game. There might be more pass attempts than previously, because if you just take a look real quickly at Duck's completion percentage in the last 3 games, against the Bengals, it was 48%. Against the Browns, it was 66%. Against the Cardinals,
84.
Do you know what it was? 84. 16 for 19.
That's pretty efficient.
But 19 attempts the whole game.
Yeah. That's pretty insane. But here's the thing that's crazy about it. The Buffalo Bills having to reshift their focus after a loss. Now, I think we can agree there's nobody like Lamar Jackson in the NFL. He's by himself as far as that goes. So game planning that. First of all, I'm thinking that the Pittsburgh Steelers probably threw out that game film. They didn't even watch the defensive philosophy that came against Lamar Jackson, because Hodges isn't going to run that. Okay, that's just not the way it's going to be. But then you look at the statistics for the These are statistics for the Steelers and who's leading what. Okay, Deontay Johnson is their leading receiver with 42 receptions. Okay, we're going into week what 14 or
Right.
game 14. Okay, so then you have
Yeah.
Jalen Samuels as number 2. He's one reception behind him. So obviously you're going to have to cover the backs there, and then you have Juju at 38, James Washington at 34, and McDonald at 33. So as far as from a Bills defensive standpoint, you're coming off of a game where all the guy does is throw to the tight end, and now you come into a game where the 5th leading receiver is the tight end. So I think that's what plays so much better to the Buffalo Bills' strengths is their secondary able to take away wide receivers. Okay, well,
Mm-hmm.
if you take away their wide receivers, what's the big deal? I mean, okay, you put White on Juju, you put Levi or Kevin Johnson over on Deontay. You know, you could do those matchups any way you like it, but they're still going to throw to Samuels. They're still going to throw it out of the backfield. They're going to find. It's like there's no one way to say, hey, if we. That's why I said at the onset, if you take this away, they're not going to be able to move the ball. They find a way to win, and obviously with a young quarterback, as we have spewed many times, both last year and this year. Listen, you got to run the ball to try to protect the kid. And I'm so curious about hashtag Nation and yours. What is the Buffalo Bills offensive philosophy going into this game? I'm so insanely curious about what they're going to do. Are they going to try to run Singletary 400 times a game? Are they going to try to throw Josh Allen 40 times a game? I mean, we got some stuff coming in the chat, obviously. Spin says that Juju hasn't been a factor all year. Pierre Martinez talks about the pass. I doubt the Pats lose to either Dolphins or Bengals because there was a talk about, hey, if Buffalo Bills wins this game, would they rest starters in the last 2 weeks of the year? But you still got a shot at the division. Why would you do that? I think Paul Berg brought that up. But that notwithstanding, I don't know if you do that. I think you're still trying to develop continuity. I think if you take 2 weeks off and quote unquote rest starters, you rest starters when you have an established offense that knows what they're doing and they're clicking and all that stuff. You wouldn't do that for the Buffalo Bills because Allen's in his second year. Certain guys are. I think if you win, then you're definitely resting Ty Nsekhe for the rest of the year. I think that's one guy you can rest. You could just put him, inactivate him the rest of the year, and then have him ready for the playoffs. I think that's because he's a veteran. He knows what's up. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
and all that. But I don't think you rest like Allen, Singletary, Beasley. You know what I mean? I don't think you rest those guys. No.
No. I think if there's one thing that we can take away from mistakes of Colts past while Bill Polian was there was that you can't just phone it in, right? Even though you've got a wild card spot locked up, you can't phone anything in. That's just simply not an option. You can't do it. Can't do it. So we had a comment in the chat real quick from Toxic Headshots talking about Allen throwing the ball 40 times a game. So I want to just go to the stats on that just very, very quickly.
Oh, I know it's not good. I already know.
Well, so I think this is important, right?
Yeah.
So in the most that Allen has attempted in total number of passes, he attempted 44 against the Pats, which was a loss. He attempted 41 against the Browns, which was a loss. He attempted 39 against the Ravens, was a loss, right? So those, like, you take a look at the 3 games in which he's attempted around that number, they've all been losses. So the golden number, right, for Allen is if you take the median, right, it's about 22. Like 22 to 24 is where he kind of sits, as far as completion numbers go. As far as attempts go, 30 to 32 is where he likely is going to be. If the offense is humming good, that's probably where they want to keep him, is between 30 to 32. The game against the Broncos, he only attempted 25. The game against Dallas, only 25. The game against Miami, 33. But as soon as you start trending past that 32 number, those games are getting a little bit tighter and a little bit closer. So 40 pass attempts. I'm not going to tell you that Allen looked real good last week, right? Out of the box early. I think they have to find a way to kind of get him going early. Yeah. But one thing I wanted to mention real quick, just to go backwards just for a moment, because I think this is kind of an interesting comparison against the Steelers, who have a very solid secondary. They've got a very active linebacker group, right? As far as the defense goes. But we didn't see the jet sweeps the jet sweep looks against the Ravens, right? Are we going to see those come back this week? Because, again, I don't think the Jets confuse that defense for the Ravens. They've been running option all year, right? So what are we going to do better than them, right? I think that's one of the reasons why the Jets kind of dried up against the Ravens. They really didn't even try it. But that's been such a critical component to getting this offense going because it kind of opens things up a little bit. Do you think we see that component kind of come back in against the Steelers?
It could. And the only reason I say that is because you're not – because let me just get this out of the way real quick. Every defensive coordinator runs every defensive front. It just matters what they like to primarily run every once in a while. Okay, so that's number one. The defense is so interesting for the Buffalo Bills this week because they're primarily a 3-4 defense. So you got Hayward, you got Hargrave, and Alualu Tyson from Jacksonville there. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name. But then you got T.J. Watt, Devin Bush, Vince Williams, and Bud Dupree. That is a secondary that's not only, or that's a second level that's not only very good against the run, they're very good sideline to sideline. So I don't know about the success rate you would have against those monsters on the outside. I mean, Devin Bush is everything that's been advertised about him. Why the Pittsburgh Steelers decided to trade up, coincidentally, right in front of Cincinnati at the 11th pick. I remember they slid into that 10th pick and took him, but. TJ Watt, you're not getting outside of TJ Watt. You're not getting outside of Bud Dupree is one of the fastest linebackers. He reminds me of Telvin Smith. He's so fast. So I remember we talked a lot about him on draft day when he was taken in. It had to be like 4 years ago. But that notwithstanding, I don't know. I think you do it to try to keep teams honest, and you may do it if you want to try to run up the middle. Like if you want to try to spring Singletary and you want to get your run game going, that's what I talk about a lot of times, setting up plays. I mean, you want to run a jet to try to widen team out. Well, if you're at a 3-4, they're already wide anyway. So what are you really gaining by doing that? The only thing that you gain by having a 3-4 look, the one thing that I would do is I would try to get them out of that 3-4 personnel as fast as possible. That's what you need to do. You have to try to maybe go 5 wide a little more than you wanted to. Maybe your solution to that, to spreading them out 5 wide, with a running back out there. You may do that. This may be a game where you've been calling for it. Everyone else has been calling for it. This may be a game you activate Duke Williams, so you can run some of them 5 wide sets with just one tight end. So, I mean, that could be a possibility for the Buffalo Bills to do that. But as far as the jet sweep, to get back to your original question, I think they have so much team speed defensively on the outsides that unless you're trying to set something up inside, I wouldn't really run too many jet sweeps this week because you already know you have that in the bag. Teams already have to scout for that. So you don't really need to do that. But your previous point you were talking about, I wanted to touch on it, but I can't remember what it was. God, I hate being old. This sucks. Because you brought up something and I had to return. Oh, Josh Allen throwing the ball 40 times. The thing about that, because the offense that the Bills are running is not predicated on throwing the ball. You look at Mahomes, they're going to score if he throws. They're not predicated on the run. You look at Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees. Do those teams run the ball? Yeah, but they're mainly passing teams. They have to throw to score. Bills aren't like that. They're not built like that. So when teams like the Bills and some of these other teams throw 40 times, it's because they're losing and they have to try to get back in the game, and it's not their strength. So him throwing 40 times a game, you see a lot of these guys that have been throwing for 300 yards this year in losses. They're throwing because they're down and they're losing. Oh, this guy threw for 320 yards. He threw 45 times. He completed 29 passes. Yeah, but they lost 27-10. Like, what are we really celebrating here? So, I mean, that's my take on that. And I love that Brian comes in, give Yeldon his chance. It'd be a great game to bring Yeldon in.
Well, and the next comment off of that was Lee Smith is a bum, and it's hard to argue with that, right? But Lee Smith remains active because Ty Nsekhe is out, right? So they're going to remain.
There's your lineman.
They're going to keep Lee Smith active because they can cover up Cody Ford with some tight end help. Tyler Kroft has been taking a lot of snaps from Lee Smith, but Kroft hasn't really proven to be all that much more effective in the passing game than Lee Smith. So he's not really a threat there. Croft has kind of proven himself to be more of a blocker, although a little bit more athletic than Lee Smith. But while Tynasecki is out, you're going to continue to see Lee Smith. I mean, it's just they're going to continue to just kind of protect Cody Ford on that side. Denver Smith says, why do you think Duke would be good to activate? Don't you think his inexperience would be detrimental compared to his upside physical ability this game? So I think that brings up a lot of people talk about Duke Williams all off season and into this season. And we can even talk about this regarding TJ Yeldon. Duke does have an experience at this level and in this offense. And this offense is exceptionally complicated, right? So there's a lot that goes on post snap that takes a long time to pick up. This is not the game for him to learn, right? You look across that secondary. I don't think that this is the best game for him to be tossed out there to say, okay, go show us what you can do for us in the playoffs. I'm not thinking this is the game. I don't think the Patriots game is looking good either. It's okay. I understand that at some point you're going to do no harm, right? But at the same token, I don't really foresee why you would put Duke Williams out there with an offense that's so predicated on post-snap reads by the wide receiver. I think there's some time that you need to allow him to learn. But against the secondary, I don't think this is the answer.
Did you just have a cough? Is that why you did that? I don't know if that was intentional. You're like,
listen,
you do not put him in there right now.
Listen, don't question me, all right?
You sound like you just had a cigar and like some really good bourbon. Like that's what it sounds like.
I'm crushing some Clancy's honey wheat pretzels and drinking a grape Fanta. My life is perfect, all right? So don't you worry about me. I'm doing just fine.
Total cost of your meal is $3.10. That's phenomenal. My counter to that, if I can offer a counter, because that's what we do, Paul. I'm in agreement with you, first of all. This is not the game for him to learn with this complex offense. I understand that. My counter to that would be if you feel that the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is its strongest when you have their base 3-4 out there, and you want to get them out of that, if you're still going 11 personnel, one running back, one tight end, that does not necessarily get them out of that base. You want to have them bring more corners in and more safeties in so you can run the ball. Okay. All right. So you got John Brown, Cole Beasley, Isaiah McKenzie, Robert Foster. And you want to go one tight end with that? With Knox? I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. Because then you still have the element of the sweep if you want. That works. And you still got some burners out there where they have to get out of it. They have to get out of that formation. If you wanted to run that formation quite a bit and not gas guys out, Duke Williams is a guy that you could activate. And we've seen it before, Paul. If he's not in the route, it doesn't matter. You could have him run off. You can have him run a guy off because there's always clearing routes in some of these combinations that they have in the route concepts. If you know you're designated as a guy that has to run the clearing route to get somebody out of the box to run underneath there, that's an option. I'm just providing an option that they could, if they decide to activate Duke Williams, it's because they fear that 3-4 base that they have. And maybe 11 personnel or, just one tight end look with four wideouts is not the personnel they want to run. I'm just saying that's the only counter to that I would give. But like I said, I agree with you. And who was it, Denver? I agree with that. This is not a game that you want to have. Hey, let's try them out. No, maybe the Jet game is a game you want to try them out. You know what I mean? Right before the playoffs, that'd be something you want to do. If the Jets are completely out of it, which it seems like they all intents and purposes they are. You want to activate Duke that game? All right, let's activate Duke that game. Let's give whoever we're going to play in the playoffs a little wrinkle. See what what they're going to do. That's fine.
I agree with you there. Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah, because that Jet game, if you win this game, that Jet game ultimately is I mean, you're the wild card team, so you don't really control your fate after that, right? That Patriots game is going to kind of dictate what happens from here, right? So if you win the Patriots game and you win the Steelers game, perhaps you don't activate Duke Williams going against the Jets, right? Perhaps you don't do that because you're still looking at eyeing up the division. So perhaps that's not the play there. But if you lose to the Patriots, which I don't even want to get into right now, but if that were a scenario, then I could see Duke Williams being active against the Jets. That makes total sense. That makes total sense. Hey, Robert Sheary,
what's up, buddy?
Thanks for being there to talk Bills, win or loss. There's not many Bills fans down in West Virginia. Your brother's down in Virginia, isn't he? He's not in West Virginia, though, right?
Those that you want to talk about night and day. That's like comparing Andy Reid to Brian Dable, Virginia and West Virginia. What's wrong with you? Hey, Daniel, what's up, Ronald? Ronald, you headed over to, wasn't he going up to the hospital this weekend? I believe Ronald was.
I thought that was last weekend.
It was last weekend? Okay.
Last weekend.
Let us know how that went in the chat, buddy. I'd love to know how that went. So, like as we mentioned at the onset, guys, we still have boxes open. If you want to go to our channel, anywhere on our channel, Paul posted it on the community tab a little bit while ago. It's actually on our webpage, htagsports.com. You can go there. We actually, I created a whole new tab for the Punt Foundation. It just has the PayPal account on it, but it will show you how the boxes are set up. Paul did it randomly. He created a video. I'm gonna send that out soon after I'm done making all these hype videos. You know what I mean? That's what I do at this point. So there's still spots open. You got a chance to win some great merch, great Bills merch. So we're happy to send it out to you guys.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, there's still a lot of cool stuff left. There's an Ed Oliver autographed mini helmet, a Trey White autographed mini football, Lorenzo Alexander autographed mini football, an Andre Reed autographed mini helmet, a Fred Jackson autographed mini helmet. Mm-hmm. So there's still some cool stuff left. What else is in there? That was 5.
The ultimate Trey White gift is in there after that. After the giveaway.
I know. I can't wait. Once we wrap up with this giveaway, we've got the coolest piece of merchandise I've ever had in my hands. In my opinion, that I cannot wait to give away. I cannot wait. It's been cool to have in my house this long. I gotta be honest with you, but I cannot wait to give it away.
Yeah, Daniel Garris comes in the chat. He said, I have boxes in the last 3 games, and I recommend getting yours. Yeah, he won. So he has the Levi Wallace one. So Gary Marshall, Florida Bills fan. Love the channel. Great content. Thank you very much, Gary. Always love that. Denver Smith. I'm a broke college student, but y'all just from finals.
Oh, hey, Denver. You know what, Denver? Here's what we'll do. We'll turn that into a box, man. We'll get you a box. Let me just jot that down.
Put his name down. We'll put him in for a box.
Yeah.
There you go,
put
Denver.
That $5 would get you 1 box in the football squares. Thank you so much for us being your first YouTube donation. I'll pop you down for.
We appreciate that, man. We appreciate the love like that. But yeah, we're getting so close to our goal of raising $2,000 for the Punt Foundation, Brian Mormon's foundation. We can't thank you guys enough for doing that. I mean, we're just a couple goofy YouTubers that talk about the Bills, so it's great that we can we have this platform in order to raise this money for the foundation. We're very happy.
Daniel Garris, Trey White goalie stick. Now that would be funny.
Oh, why do we think of that?
Can you imagine having to? I know, right? Can you imagine having to ship a goalie stick? Like, you go to the post office, you're like, I need to send this to Alaska.
I'd put it in Christmas wrapping paper, like just as it is. Like, I wonder what this is. Thank you. Yeah, Mighty Buffoon, Denver. Good luck on your finals, buddy. Yeah. So, that talking about the game, should we kind of sidestep a little bit and talk about the nice little side story that's been happening with the Edmonds brothers? Because I think that's pretty cool. I actually do think that's pretty cool. If you want to devote a couple minutes to it.
It is pretty neat. Sure. Yeah, let's talk about it.
So the 3 brothers, obviously the Edmonds brothers, you have Terrell, Tremaine, and who's the third one? It's like the Marx brothers. Everyone always forgets about the 4th one. You know what I mean? But
Cooper. Can we just call him Cooper?
Can we call him Cooper Manning? Yeah.
That's right. He's the brother that everybody forgets about.
One's a running back, one's a safety, and obviously we have Tremaine Edmonds here in Buffalo. It's a very neat story because, like, obviously having 3 brothers and you all play in the NFL, that's insane. It's insane to me. I mean, 2 of them were taken in the first round. Like,
yeah,
it was funny too because you got, obviously Tremaine is more well known than the 2 guys in Pittsburgh. Obviously, if you talk to a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, they're going to disagree. However, then you got TJ Watt there. It's like the land of the brothers over in Pittsburgh. It's like, if your brother's famous, then if you want to play in the NFL, you go to Pittsburgh. It's so funny.
Well, I was not. I will admit, I was not a TJ Watt believer. I was like, okay, we're riding the hype train a little hard
like
for
Nick
this guy.
Bosa.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I feel like we've ridden on this train before, right? I'm just not. You know how when you make a copy of a copy of a copy, it gets a little fuzzy.
Faded.
That's kind of where I ended up with Edmonds.
Sir Nathan Thomas is finally here at a live show. Hey, what's up, sir?
I know, right?
It's phenomenal. Wow. Paul has some serious ammo on Dable this week. But here,
so I do want to bring this up now. So I do want to point out that we're going to see Dable in the box this week. I am actually willing to make a bet that we will not see him in the box in New England. Season on the line. There's enough reputation to make me think he won't be in the box.
The things keep going on with the Patriots. They may not even be in the box. Oh my God! The story going on. You know what? For me, Paul, it's in one ear out the other. You know what I mean? We've heard this story before. I don't want to regurgitate it and say, oh, that's why they're winning, this why they're winning. The stories are well known. They were taping the Rams practice before the Super Bowl. Oh my God, what's going on? And all this other nonsense. I don't want to pay attention to them any more than I need to. Okay, if the NFL finds something, great. If they don't, great. All right, we still got to play them. All right, they're the king of the mountain. It would be very poetic of the Buffalo Bills if the Buffalo Bills make the playoffs, if and when, and they knock the Patriots out from going to 4 straight, which the Bills only hold that title of going to 4 straight. So that would be cool. That would be a neat story. That would be a very neat story.
So good.
Dable. I like Dable in the box. Does your opinion, Paul, before I get to my point, does your opinion of Dable change of being in the box now because of what happened at the Ravens game?
No. Here's the thing about the Ravens game that got me the most frustrated, right? Because if you go back and you just look real quickly, Josh Allen attempted 39 passes. He threw for 105 yards. He got his foot stepped on, and Sal Paolantonio was pretty convinced that limited him from most quarterback type activity as far as being athletic outside of the pocket. They rushed 23 times for 104 yards. That's what gets me, right? Is in the previous 3 games, in the 3 games prior to that, they rushed 34 attempts, 47 attempts, and 34 attempts. Why in God's name did the balance shift so significantly downward? Now, I understand at one point you were down 2 scores. I get that the numbers are going to be a little skewed, but they were really effective running the football. And not only that, but Baltimore was running a lot of delayed blitzes, right? So even though they were bringing 5 or 6 guys, they weren't bringing 5 or 6 guys at snap, right? Yeah. So one of the best ways to beat that is quick outlet passes, which were definitely there, right?
Now they're getting jammed.
Well, no, I understand that, but but even running a draw play, because if they're running a delayed blitz, you can run a draw and you'll still be effective. You're still winning the number. You're still by running one of the best ways to beat the blitz is to be able to run against it, right? Is if you can run against the blitz, you're going to be fine. When they're running delayed blitzes, unfortunately, right, exactly. You have no idea. But if you run a draw play, you're giving that running back the opportunity to read where the pressure is coming from, right? They're still going to bring the delayed blitz, but by running draws, you're just syncing it up to when those linebackers or defensive backs, whoever is coming in, are coming into pressure. So you take something that's a disadvantage and you turn it back into even, right? And it's athlete on athlete again. And the fact that we didn't see any draw plays run against that blitz was a little frustrating to me because it wasn't like they were bringing 6 people at snap. They weren't. They're bringing 4 people at snap with 2 delayed blitzers often. And it was frustrating to watch that. I never said I would praise Dable for his job in the box, although I was impressed with the balance of the game. Mm-hmm. You saw how quickly that went sideways. As soon as like Josh attempting 39 passes and only completing 17 of them and him being on his back all game. That was troubling for me because Dable couldn't figure it out. I don't think that was Allen. I really just don't think Dable could figure it out.
Well, it's tough because we had talked about it previously. I think one of the things when you run a hurry up type offense like that, if there's anyone that does a delay, that's what's going to stick with you. And they were delaying. They're playing coverage zero. They were blitzing everybody. The thing that worries me about that, Paul, not so much that he didn't adjust to it, because he should have. But you know what I mean? I don't have high expectations. Even though I took my foot off the gas pedal of hammering him, I still kept at an arm's length of, okay, this is good. This is good. I see guys open. Allen's not hitting him, so it's not all Dable. But the adjustments is what bothers me. The thing that bothers me the most about this game is the fact that the Steelers have the manpower and the talent to do what Baltimore did on their defense.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I think this is an applicable conversation to have.
That's why it's terrifying to me. It's very terrifying. So that's the only thing that terrifies me is the fact that, okay, if the Steelers didn't have the talent that Baltimore has on the defensive side of the ball, albeit more of their talent on the second level instead of the back end like Baltimore, so maybe you can try to expose some of those guys, like you said, run those quick outs, run at it, do all the stuff you got to do. That's something. Put B and spin 0-4-8-1. Put B's in a hot route. That's what you got to do. When they're getting jammed and beat up at the line, it's so tough for that to happen. But here's the thing that I take away from the game, barring Dable and all the other nonsense. The Buffalo Bills have lost 4 games this year. Okay. Now, for my personal take, barring Philly, they could have won the other 3 that they lost. They could have won those. They could have easily won those. I mean, you talk about the Ravens game. It felt like, hey, okay, they're the underdog. They're going to go into it. They're going to do this, that, and the other thing. But then as the game started to wear on, you're like, listen, you look at the stat sheet, you look at all the things that went on. Buffalo had their lowest offensive output, lost by 7. They had a punt blocked against the Patriots the first time, lost by 6. They were driving the ball, and then Hauschka couldn't hit a field goal. They couldn't do this, that, and the other thing. They lose to the Browns. I think really the Philly game was the only game that they ended up getting really kind of quote-unquote torched, but they fixed it. The defense has shown the ability to fix things that aren't working. Not seeing that from Dable. It's worrying. It's worrying me. However, there's a lot of things that he has to do and he has to fix, and he has to do on-site adjustments, and he's not doing them. And that's the thing that's the most terrifying, because when it comes playoff time, whoever goes into halftime or comes out of halftime with a better plan is more than likely going to win the game. And as we've seen for many years, the evil empire up in Massachusetts is the one that does the better halftime adjustments. They probably got better cameras there, I guess. I don't know, but it's just what we have. Great point brought up by Dan Mitchell, friend of the show. If you guys, I'm sure you guys have already subbed to him. He's got great content over there. He represents the Down Mafia. Everyone that we call #Nation, he calls the Down Mafia. So, no, I'm just kidding. We will be streaming the game. We're still working out the finer details of that. Obviously, it's not our normal 1 o'clock game. Both of us have families that go to bed very early. So, that being said, we're trying to work out the logistic details with the wardens and try to see if we can stream the game itself. But we will have the game for you both here and over on Sportscaster as well. Our wonderful partnership over there. We stream the game play by play. So if you don't want to listen to whoever they have for the game, I don't even know who it is. We're going to be doing the game. So and I think it's better to listen to us anyway, Paul. I'm not being biased, but I like listening to us talk about the game. Paul's never been at my house until midnight, so it's going to be kind of weird when he turns into a pumpkin after.
Don't feed me after midnight, man. My ears just get bigger.
We can't have that. We'll have to buy another set of headphones. The After Dark YouTube, Denver Smith. Dan is the R-rated version of #Sports.
I think that's pretty applicable. Oh
my God, that's beautiful. Good. I can't take much of Collinsworth. I'll do the slide in if you want. I can definitely do that in the game. I can slide in with my chair.
CM Banks asks, is our offense systematically with the Earnhardt-Perkins system suited to our players' strengths, or was it put in to help the defense with those quick passes? Systematically, I don't know if this is the best for Josh Allen. We've talked about this before. I think there's a very fair parallel to what Pittsburgh does and what Baltimore has done, and then what the Bills are doing with Josh Allen. So they're not asking Delvin Hodges to do anything fancy, right?
Not at all.
They're not asking him to go out there and win football games. They're saying just don't give the ball up too much, right? And the defense has had to play riskier because they know they need the extra possessions to win the football games. They're not winning games by very many scores, so the defense has to play risky to try and generate turnovers, right? And so far that's worked out for them, but that well could dry up at any moment. In Baltimore, they're saying, listen, Lamar Jackson, we understand that standing in the pocket, excuse me, and throwing downfield, not exactly your thing. That's okay. We're going to build an offense that works towards your strengths. With Josh Allen, reading defenses was one of the struggles that he had last season. So the Earnhardt-Perkins system is not the best systematic fit for him right now, right? It really isn't. I think it's given some benefit to him. I think it's taught him some things. However, it is really predicated on a lot of the wide receivers adjusting based on coverage. And Allen, I don't think, is 100% in lockstep with his receivers just yet. And I wouldn't expect him to be. This is his second year in the league. I mean, you let me know if I'm off base there, Mar.
No, I think you're right on the money. There's a lot of things that have to go into to learning that system, and Brady didn't learn it out of the gate right away. He had to. If you look at a lot of statistics of Brady, and this is what I always laugh about, when Brady took over, barring the season he threw for 50 touchdowns, because he had arguably the best wide receiver of all time. I mean, because that's the one thing the Earnhardt-Perkins system is predicated on, is you could run that type of offense without a number one wideout. A bona fide number one wideout, because that's what a lot of people always thought. We need a number one stud. We need a Julio. We need a Hopkins. We need a Tyreek Hill or something like that. That's what you need. However, if you run the Earnhardt-Perkins system, you don't need any of those things if you're able to run the concepts that are going on. So, that being said, as far as the Earnhardt-Perkins system goes, it does take a while to get used to. If you compare all Brady's first 6 seasons to Matt Castle's season when he took over for Brady, it's almost like mirrored. It's right. His averages for those 6 seasons, like I said, barring that 50 touchdown year, and you took Matt Castle's 2008 season, they're all comparable. But Allen adds a different flavor. It's almost like you want this offense to evolve into something different. Allen, because of his arm and because of his legs, offers a different perspective to the Earnhardt-Perkins system that Brady doesn't offer. Now, Brady is, as many things as I call the guy, he's one of the smartest quarterbacks ever to play the position. He knows all the answers to the tests. He knows where everyone's going to be. He's just 42 years old. He can't throw downfield anymore. That being said, Allen offers more of a different type of playbook that if things don't go right and you don't have everything working, he can get out of there with his legs. That's what I like about it. And then when we had the discussion with Lamar Jackson too, Lamar Jackson and Greg Roman, what they're doing in Baltimore, it's working. No one could stop it. It's very unique, this and that. The shelf life of a quarterback in that type of system isn't as long as one in an Earnhardt-Perkins system. And that's just how it goes. I mean, Brady's been in that system for 19 years. What do? You don't pay a high-priced quarterback. He cuts his salary down. You spend all that money on defense. And that's how you win championships. That's how you do it. The Bills, seeing that for 20 years in a row now, that's what they're trying to do. So, does someone, what did Mitchell, he said, did I give you all my old stuff? What did he say?
Yeah, that wasn't Mitchell. That was our old fashioned trousers. Said it looks like Mario got all new equipment and gave Paul all his hand me downs.
No.
Mario just his webcam, guys. That's it. It's just a change of perspective.
It is really. You know what I did as a Christmas gift to myself? I bought a new monitor, and when I rearranged everything on my desk, the headset that I previously had, the cord wasn't long enough, so I had to get my Beats by Dre headphones and use those because they didn't. This cord's long enough. The other one wasn't. So
Mar, we're at. We got about. If I'm looking at the clock, right? We got about 10 minutes. Yeah. Do you want to open things up?
Do you want to hit the gas pedal here?
Let's do it.
I'm kind of scared, but let's try it. If you joined me for the post game where Paul wasn't there, I got lonely, so I wanted to talk to some people.
I was watching.
I wanted to talk to some people. So what I'll do is I will click over. So you have a different perspective. So on your screen, you're going to see a phone number. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are opening up the hashtag hotline for you guys. So if you want to call and give us something that you want to talk about, keep it clean, keep it short. That would be nice. Hopefully Paul can hear it too, because we haven't tried this yet with him. So hopefully.
Yeah, no idea how this is going to work out. So, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, if you guys want to call in and give us your take.
It is everything,
We just try everything out initially. That's how it works.
Yeah. So if you guys want to give a shout, you're just more than welcome to do that. Number should be on the bottom of your screen.
On the left of your screen, Paul.
So, Mar, I think while we wait for that to work, I do want to ask just one long scale question, right? And it is, Josh Allen, if let's say Brian Daboll gets a head coaching job this upcoming offseason, not saying it's going to happen, just
Hopefully.
saying, let's just imagine for a moment. Well, let's imagine for a moment like Daboll leaves, right? What does changing offensive systems do to Josh Allen?
I think you got to think of it as like molded clay. Mm-hmm. You have a guy that you can pretty much do anything that you want. And we got our first call coming in now. I don't know if you can hear that, Paul.
Nope.
Hello, you're on the hashtag hotline. Who am I speaking with?
This is Sir Nathan Thomas.
Sir Nathan Thomas, what's up?
What's going on, guys?
How are you, sir?
I'm excellent. Ready for the big game this weekend?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I can't wait. I'm pretty excited. Paul's excited. I'm always excited when we get a chance to call it. What's the thing that you're looking most forward to for this game?
Well, I'm looking forward to Josh Allen rebounding having a better game than he had against the Ravens.
Oh yeah, I think he definitely will.
I just feel like they're trying to get the deep game more involved. But like last week, doing it right away against the Ravens didn't seem like the best option to me. Maybe getting them more in a rhythm in the beginning of the game before we start trying it deep down the field. I was just wondering what your guys' thoughts on that was.
To trying to get the ball a little bit deeper down the field, you saying? Okay.
After he's already in a rhythm.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that I think that's something that you have to do. Paul just gave me a heads up. He's not hearing it, so I'll just say it now. He said after Allen gets in a rhythm, do you want to take some shots downfield? And I think that's a notable thing to do. I mean, what you have to do, guys start crowding the box on you. And it's something that's not favoring Allen. It makes the windows that he wants to throw in a little tighter. Guys start crunching in. He needs to start at least hitting a couple of those a game. Like he did in the Miami game, like he was doing in the Cowboy game. He was throwing the ball downfield with some accuracy, albeit on the move a couple times where things were able to open up. He was able to shift zones. I think once he starts doing that, it'll open up so much more, not only in the pass game, but in the run game as well, because Singletary is where they want to run the ball through. You have so much talent in Singletary and Allen. If you don't start using them to their fullest of ability, and it has to start with getting guys out of the box first. So I totally agree with you. The fact that once he starts getting in a rhythm, you could start to, maybe throw the ball downfield a little bit. Even if you don't necessarily complete them, I still think it serves its purpose, though. What do you think, Paul?
Yeah. So there was a comment that was made earlier, and I simply forget who had made it. It wasn't really all that long ago, but it was actually Sir Nathan Thomas. It's funny because he was the one that called. What had happened before and what his comment was about was talking about throwing 50-50 balls to wide receivers, right? You really don't see the Bills doing that because, one, you don't have stature of wide receivers to be able to do that. That's one. And two, it's hard to throw 50-50 balls when your quarterback throws everything at 100 miles an hour. There's not really a lot of 50-50 there, right? It's just a game of chance. So the same thing happens when Allen's throwing deeper passes, and you saw that when he was throwing with the wind at his back. right? When he was throwing with the wind at his back last game, everything went high. Everything went high and long. He was overthrowing guys by 6-7 yards, right?
Mm-hmm.
And throwing into the wind, he seemed to be a little bit more confident. So I find it to be very peculiar about Allen is when the conditions are what would be at a normal quarterback's advantage, it's actually a
I just
great
want to say one more
to
thing
him,
when Paul
right?
is finished.
He seems to throw the ball better throwing into the wind because he can muscle the ball through. And this wide receiver group, they don't make adjustments in the air because Allen doesn't really give them an opportunity to make adjustments in the air. Most of his passes are they're kind of strong. So as far as opening up the deeper game, a lot of that is on Allen because there's just not enough touch right now. Everything he throws is just at 100 miles an hour, and you can't expect wide receivers to make adjustments off that. And if wide receivers can't make adjustments, the ball has to be placed perfectly, and we're not there.
Yeah. I hear you, Paul. I hear you. All right. So Nathan, you said you had one more thing.
Yeah. I just wanted to let you guys know I'm a huge fan of the show.
Thanks,
you guys even take criticism from your fans very well, and I'll always be a big fan of the show, and I'll keep tuning in whenever I can. Thank you very much for accepting my call.
Absolutely, Sir Nathan. Thank you very much, buddy. Sir Nathan came in and he said, listen, we take criticism very well, Paul. He's a big fan of the show, and he said we take criticism very well.
Hey, right.
So let me do this. Since we haven't had all the bugs fixed, obviously, because Paul can't hear anything. They can't hear you either, Paul. So even when you were talking. I'll fix that.
On the desktop.
I was gonna fix it. I'll fix it up. So, and I got to change the ringer anyway. So,
you got burned in the chat for the ringer.
I don't pick it. I don't pick the ringer. The ringer that does it automatically.
Whatever.
So I just wanted to say thank you to Sir Nathan Thomas for taking time out. He finally caught a live stream. He called in. I mean, it's 2 for 2 for him. That's great.
Right.
It was phenomenal. So thank you very much, Sir Nathan. And hashtag Nation. I'm gonna try to fix the phone thing. So I just switched the screens to take the number off so it doesn't start flying in. But you bring up an interesting point. If you throw 50-50 balls all the time. If you're throwing 50-50 balls all the time, they got to be pretty on the money if you don't have a guy to go up and get it. I mean, that's huge. And that's a huge point. That's a great point. So I am, I know you hate doing this, Paul. I hate doing it, but we're going to try this. Score predictions. All right.
Oh, I don't mind this.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm curious because I picked last week 17-10 Baltimore, and I got hazed for it. But that was my prediction. I didn't think I was too far off in that. But so what do you think? What would the score be, and what's something that may be a surprise for you?
So I'm playing the averages here, right? So if I'm taking a look at the Steelers' last 3 games and the Bills' last 3 games, right? That puts the Steelers in an average of 21 points a game. And the Bills are averaging 23 points a game in the last 3 games. Just off quick maths, please nobody spot check that because Mario's the math guy. So my math says they should be right around, Steelers would be actually 20, but nobody scores 20 points in the NFL. So I'm going to go 21-23, Buffalo. The defense is just hyper aggressive. They have to be aggressive. And after the Ravens game, I think the Steelers saw that you can attack Allen with a lot of pressure, and that's scary to me. Especially with a 3-4 front, they can hide a lot more than a typical 4-3. So that scares me a bit. So again, I'm going to stick with 21-23.
All right, I like it. I like what Steve Hampton put in. You see, I'm thinking low scoring, 14-9 type of game.
Ooh.
I think
John Roberts 37-10.
Ooh, I love it. And effing clinch it. I like it. I would say that this game is going to, because like you said at the onset, Steelers are a scary team because their defense is really, really good. I think it's very underrated because of the first 3 games they played. They have a very good defense. And the fact that they just know how to win games. There's nothing that eye-popping about them. All right. So that being said, I think we have a reversal of fortune where the Bills are the cardiac kids for us, but not driving. I'm talking about their defense. So here's what I'm proposing, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
The Buffalo Bills, in a 10-10 tie, they go up 13-10.
Okay.
They end up getting the ball back with like 7 minutes left, and then they drive again to try to seal the game, and they have a turnover. I'm not saying by who. I'm just saying that the offense has a turnover because that's what Pittsburgh's been doing. They've been making teams turn the ball over. 26 in the last 10 games. They do it, okay? If it happens, don't worry about it. Okay, so they're up 13-10. Pittsburgh drives down with Duck Hodges, and there is an interception by the Buffalo Bills to clinch the game for them, 13-10 at the end of the game. Hodges is going to throw a pick to end the. I'm going out on a limb and saying Hodges is throwing a pick to end this game. And Grendel says I'm on some kind of controlled substance. I don't think I am, but I'm going to say the Buffalo Bills win a 13-10 game with the defense sealing the win for them. That's just me. If they outscore that, then fine. Dan Mitchell comes in, says 20-17. Jason Crandall 27-17 Bills. Remember old-fashioned trousers. Bengals 33, Patriots 19.
I would love to watch the Bengals beat the Patriots. Oh my God, that would be an early Christmas present.
Someone said another amazing storyline would be the Buffalo Bills beat the Patriots. Okay, that would happen in the regular season. But then Andy Dalton, who was the Bills' savior in 2017, and then Ryan Fitzpatrick, who has beaten the Patriots, beats them. So they lose their last 3 games and then get knocked out. Aaron Clark 10-2. That is great. Paul reading my comments, wondering if I have a crystal ball. John Roberts. That's amazing.
I love you guys.
Yeah, nation. I love all you guys. Nation brings it. So, if you haven't gone over to our website, htagsports.com, go over to the Punt Foundation tab. You can sign up through PayPal. If not, if you go to our YouTube where you are right now, go on the community tab. You can find our Cash App and Venmo. There's still 30 spots left. 29 because we took care of Denver's.
Right.
We took care of Denver's $5 today. Donnybrook 3-2 would be brutal. Oh my God, that would be a brutal game. So be sure to get the boxes so you can win some sweet Bills merch and then donate to the Punt Foundation. We are going to be back with you guys. Actually, no, I called Mike. We're doing a Film Room Friday. We're going to be doing a Film Room Friday. Yes.
All right.
I will do a Film Room Friday with Mike for you guys because we haven't done one in so long. I figured I owed you guys that. And then Paul and I will do the Sportscaster Saturday where we will break down the game even more than we did today. Exclusive to Sportscaster. So if you're not over on Sportscaster following us over there, please, it's free to become a fan over there. You just log in with your email. You're all set to go. You get all notifications when we go live. And then Sunday, play-by-play, 8:20, we're going to be calling the game. Might have some shenanigans before that for you guys. But be sure to stay tuned for all of Hashtag Sports. Be sure to hit the bell twice so you get all the notifications. And I'm tired, Paul. I got to say, I'm exhausted.
You're tired now, buddy. We're going to be at halftime at this time against the Steelers.
I'm saying, and full disclosure for all of the nation, I went to bed at like 9:15 last night with my kids. Went to sleep. I got awakened by the baby, and then at 11:30, and I couldn't sleep. So from 11:30 till 3 a.m. this morning, I was finishing up that hype video. So that's what I was doing.
All right.
That's what I was doing last night.
Yeah, Paul Berg, like, quit complaining. It's only 8:20.
Oh, Berg. He's always bringing me back down to earth. But yeah, that's why I'm tired today. Sunday, I'll be all right. Just don't start.
Now, a lot of people are asking why you're not wearing hats anymore. You just got that tight fade going on. Is that it?
Put my big boy pants on. Yeah, my tight fade. I'm rocking the Peyton Manning at this point in my life. I got a dome you could show a drive-in movie on. Look at this thing. Anyway, so Paul, thank you for ending the stream on a head joke. Thanks you.
You're welcome.
All right, and Hashtag Nation, thank you for joining us again. We love you guys. Thank you. Be sure to check us out on for the Friday Film Room. Me and my brother will be there. And for Paul, you know who I am. We're out of here. Take it easy.